Bună seara, doamnelor și domnilor! Vă mulțumim că sunteți alături de noi. Ascultați Radio AVTM, Vocea Europei.
Jó estét, hölgyeim és uraim! Köszönjük figyelmüket! Önök az a Voice Former Rádió Európa hangja műsorát hallgatják.
And, good evening ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to a Voice for Men radio, the voice of Europe. A Voice for Men is the flagship of the men's rights movement. And this show is probably the only one at this point addressing the issues concerning men and boys at a European level. If you ever thought that there's something wrong regarding the state's approach to men and their issues, this is the best place to start. This is the place where feminism gets to be called out on its lies and propaganda, and the state is invited to get out of people's lives. Please consider visiting avoiceformen.com and see how the truth in action sounds like. We are here and we don't plan on leaving anytime soon. And now, Lucian Valsen shall bring us on today's topic.
And we're back. Greetings everyone, this is Lucian Valsen broadcasting from Transylvania. Alongside with me as usual is Jon Gunnarsson broadcasting from Deutschland, and our producer James Huff broadcasting from the United States. Hi there everyone, hi there Jon.
Hi there, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing just fine. The rain finally stopped. We had another week of almost unstoppable rain. Every single day it started raining early in the morning, and then until 6 or 7 p.m. it kept on raining, pretty much like in London. Amazing. I'm still waiting for that summer.
Well, here it's sort of like a few days of scorching heat and then a few days of rain and thunderstorms, so you know, it's sort of alternating here, which is, I guess, it keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, it does. In other news, what the hell happened in the semifinals of the World Cup?
I guess Germany sort of won a little bit.
Sort of. They uploaded the highlights of the game on Pornhub, for crying out loud. And Pornhub issued a public statement on Twitter saying, please don't upload that highlights again on our site. Our public humiliation category is already full. I mean, no, seriously, that was rape. It really was. Well, but I guess it happens. I mean, it's not the first time. It is the first time in a semi-final, but it's not really the first time when Germany comes in and wipes the floor with someone. I remember it was something like 10, 12 years ago. They did the same thing, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, 8-0. That was,
yeah, it was old.
I think 2002.
2002, yeah. And I guess that was pretty much the match that put Miroslav Klose on the onset to become the all-time World Cup goal scorer. I mean, he scored like 4 times in that match.
But I mean, it's different doing that to Saudi Arabia and to Brazil. And Brazil is usually the strongest nation in football, so that's...
Yeah, conceding 7 at home, that's kind of unexpected. Now, to be a full disclosure here, I expected a victory for Germany, something like 3-0 or maybe 4-1. I did expect that, but I did not expect for Germany to just wipe the floor with them. And in absolutely no moment from the first minute until the last one, it was not even a second a question of who's going to win. There's no kind of balance, even though the statistics seemed a bit misleading. You know, a relatively similar number of shots wide and almost the same number of shots on goal, but no, that was no equilibrium. Yeah, and in fact, Brazil had superior possession or something like that, which pretty much proves the point again that possession doesn't count. like at all.
Yeah. At the end, the goal, the objective of the game is to score goals, not to have the ball.
Yeah. Otherwise, we can just put that meme. But we had possession. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the news. We have quite a lot of them. James, could you please play the jingle?
You are listening to ep57 Radio, the voice of Europe. This is the news.
All right. The first one comes from abcnews.go.com. France retreats on teaching boy-girl equality. France is scrapping a plan to teach children the ABCD of equality between boys and girls after protests by some parents who feared it was a stealth effort to erase gender differences, a new example of the socialist government's failure to stick to its promises and the growing ability of conservative Catholics to weigh on policy. A vocal minority has been increasingly influential in pushing back against France's leftist government on a range of social issues. In recent months, it has succeeded in getting officials to delay approval of medically assisted procreation for gay couples and abandon an environmental tax on long-distance trucks, and is lobbying against a drive to legalize euthanasia. The Education Ministry said Monday it would replace the ABCD of Equality program, which was introduced at some schools earlier this year and aimed at encouraging boys and girls to see themselves and their opportunities as equal. No. Anyway, the policy had been trialed at 275 schools and had come under attack from Roman Catholic leaders, the French far right, and some parents' groups. Critics say the plan is insulting to professions and that have been traditionally female, and expressed fear that it promoted a supposed gender theory that would deny any differences between boys and girls. Officials said the teachers would receive new training when the new school year begins in September, and that they will be able to decide how to broach the topic of fairness for the sexes, especially with the youngest students. Education Minister Benoît Hamon insisted that the government's goal is not to deny difference, but to show that boys and girls are equal. We want to prevent anyone from forming the conviction at schools that there would be jobs and training and diplomas for girls and jobs and training and diplomas for boys, he said Monday on France Inter Radio. Wait, that's not even an argument. Anyway, France's Minister for Women's Rights, Nadja Vallaud-Belkacem, told France 3 television that the new plan would include all schools and would be an improved version of the original. Right. Feminist groups denounced the backtracking, whilst others welcomed Monday's decision. The group VG Gender, which had pushed for the withdrawal of the ABCD of Equality, said the government didn't go far enough. Esther Pivet, coordinator of the group, argued that gender stereotypes are references for children. Small children need such references. Christian Chevalier, head of SAUNSA Teacher Union, said this atmosphere that puts teacher in the front line of the battle in certain schools doesn't help equality between boys and girls, which needs to be addressed in serenity. The leftist government has faced pressure from conservative Catholics, Muslims, and the resurgent far right over various issues. After a harsh battle over gay marriage, legalized last year amid nationwide protests, the government has delayed action on increased access to in vitro fertilization for gay couples. In February, tens of thousands of demonstrators protested over a reform to family rights in France, accusing the government of being family-phobic. A few weeks later, controversy erupted on Skirt Day, an anti-sexism initiative in which male students are invited to attend classes wearing skirts. Okay, this reporting is highly disingenuous and outright lies in certain points. But anyway, it's the best that you can find in English. More info in French in the link provided in the chat room. Now, it says here that ABCD of Equality, ABCD for Equality is actually the real name of the program, is a program aimed at promoting equality between boys and girls. Right. Actually, that's not even remotely about that. It's a full-blown feminist theory taught to 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-old children. I came across a letter written by a fellow professor, fellow teacher in the in the French school system, describing 9-year-olds being taught about prostitution, anal sex, elements of political lesbianism, and a few other very, very nice stuff. Now, I don't give a shit. You can call me a bigot, but I don't think this shit should be in public schools at all, let alone being taught to 7-year-olds. What do you think, Jon?
Yeah, I mean, that is the big problem with public schools, that they are always teaching children not just facts about the world, but a particular ideology, a particular worldview. That has always been what public schools have done. That has always been one of their core functions. And when you have feminists in power, you're going to get public schools teaching feminist theory. And that is a real problem. And I'm glad that this sort of stuff is being pushed back now, but I mean, this is just a particular egregious offender. There are already in public schools, there's already a lot of feminist inspired theory being taught, and
cool.
Yeah. So and this thing is just not going to go away anytime soon. So I think if you are a parent of a child at school age, the only real defense you have against that is to not send your child to a public school. Look for a private school, or maybe homeschooling if that is allowed in your country, and if you can do that. But in public schools, you're always going to get this sort of shit.
Yeah, and I dislike, and again, this is the most the fairest report that I was able to find. The French newspapers are even bigger offenders in reporting this piece of news. Notice how they always stereotype, oh, there was a bunch of old conservative Catholics and some radical Muslims who oppose it. The reality is far from that. Most of the organized groups of parents who oppose it are pretty much secular groups, simply being concerned about why the fuck are we teaching 7-year-olds about prostitution? I mean, can't they just learn about that off the internet 7 years from now when they'll be at least 14, 15? We all can live without our 7-year-old knowing about prostitution and anal sex, thank you. I mean, you don't have to be a religious person or conservative, or whatever conservative means, because in France being a conservative means wanting to preserve the maximal state, so I don't think that's really conservative. But anyway, you don't have to be of a particular worldview to basically have a bit of common sense here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm too grumpy and too old to say, but I'm of the idea that it is really common sense not to teach about prostitution to 7-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, I do think you should have sex education in schools and so on, but you don't need to teach that to 7-year-olds. They really don't need to know that yet. You can wait a few more years, and you don't need to teach them about political lesbianism or something like that. It really. I mean, also, what really sort of irks me about this is all this talk about equality. The education minister says that the government's goal is not to deny a difference, but to show that boys and girls are equal. Well,
equal
they're
in what?
not. They're not equal. They are different, as he himself has admitted.
Yeah.
Meaning they are not equal in general. Maybe they're equal in some particular regard, like they have an equal number of legs or something like that, but they're not equal in general.
Yeah. This is the problem, and this is why I admitted that sometimes I do it for shock effect, but it's also true. I always say, no, I don't believe in equality. And everyone loses their shit. Well, what do you mean? Well, first of all, please qualify your statements. Equality in what? Because if you want equality in everything, then fuck you. And if you want equality in general, then again, I want qualifiers. What kind of equality? You want to show boys and girls are equal? Equal in what? In responsibilities, in rights, in outcomes, in what? Some of them might be legit, some of them surely aren't.
Yeah, there's this great term applause light for a particular word that has no very specific meaning, but it's just used as sort of a term where the audience is supposed to cheer, where everyone is supposed to agree, and equality is a perfect example of that. That's, you just say, oh, everyone thinks to be equal, and then everyone is supposed to agree with you and applaud and so on. And it has no really clearly defined meaning. It's like we want things to be more fair or more democratic or something like that. It's it has no clearly defined meaning. It's just sort of things that are generally supposed to be good, and that's why they're using it, so they don't have to actually explain what they actually want to do.
Yeah, it basically has no sense without qualifiers. I mean, if you say, I want equality, and I'm going to ask, what kind of equality? And then if the answer is equality under the law, okay, I can agree with that. What else do you want? Equality of outcome. No, I can't agree with that, sorry.
In particular, the statement that statement he's making is not that that boys and girls should be equal under the law, but he says that boys and girls are equal. So, I mean, what does that mean? Does it mean they have maybe they're maybe equal in physical strength? Well, no, they're clearly not. Does that mean they're equal in intelligence? Well, no, probably not. It's like it depends on the
individual. Jan, fix your internet, goddammit. Well, until Jan fixes his internet. Let's move to the next one. Daily Mail. Separated mothers must not get away with Catherine Tate justice and ignore dad's rights, says appeal court judge. Separated mothers must no longer get away with Catherine Tate justice that prevents fathers from seeing their children, a senior judge said. No mother should be able to ignore court orders, stop a father ever meeting his children, and tell him, am I bothered, appeal court judge Lord Justice McFarlane said. He said that radical fathers groups were right to complain that men were often wrongly shut out of their children's lives. Mothers who fail to obey court rulings will in future be brought up short, the judge said. The warning from Sir Andrew McFarlane, one of the country's most experienced family judges, follows a series of reforms earlier this year designed to speed up cases which decide on how separated parents will share the care of their children. You on your back? No. It follows years of failure to enforce orders giving fathers contact with their children. In around 4,000 cases a year, fathers go back to court repeatedly to try to get access to their children because mothers defy the courts. Judges have rarely fined or imprisoned intransigent mothers because most believe that to punish the mother would harm the children. At one point, the last Labour government considered and then dropped the idea of making disobedient mothers wear electronic tags. Sir Andrew said in a speech that he hoped the reforms introduced this spring will compel more mothers to stick to the rules. Where post-separation a child lives with one parent, it is hard to underestimate the expectation that the system will now place upon the parent to respect and to meet the need for the child to have a good, sound, ordinary relationship with the other parent, he said. These changes should, in my view, must mark the end to what I might call the Catherine Tate approach to post-separation parenting, where the parent who holds all the trump cards because the child is currently living with them simply shrugs her shoulders and says to the other parents who merely wants his child, am I bothered? The system, the law, now requires them to be bothered. They have a responsibility to be bothered, and if they persist in abdicating from that responsibility, they can expect all those they encounter in and around the court system to bring them up short. Sir Andrew said that groups like Radical Fathers for Justice, which organized disruptive demonstrations at landmarks and in Parliament in the 2000s, had a case. Whilst deprecating some of their tactics, I had, in the course of a number of meetings, sat down in calm circumstances and listened to the stories of a number of fathers who considered that they had been profoundly let down by the system. Whilst it might be that there are genuine child-focused reasons why individuals members of the various fathers groups that have been denied contact, that could not be said of most of the individuals I have met in the context over the years. There is, in my view, a core validity to the essential complaints that these fathers make. Well, Jon?
Yes, yes, I'm back. It's always amazes me how this sort of argument is made. You know, if we punish the mother, we are going to harm the child. But basically, these mothers are holding their children hostage.
They are harming the child already.
Yeah. Now, does that sound like it's a good idea to have that sort of system? Maybe if the mother is intentionally withholding access to the child from the father, then maybe it might be better if the father gets custody of the child, or maybe here's a different solution. Just make it so that if a mother repeatedly denies father the visitation rights, the father just no longer has to pay child support, and then you can see how quickly these visitation orders are going to be enforced.
Yeah. I mean, there was that's actually a good point. I mean, if putting the mothers in jail would harm the child so bad, although I can honestly, I can't honestly believe how punishing a mother who is holding her child hostage essentially is going to harm the child. But anyway, if that's an argument, then yeah, put in this one. The father no longer has to pay child support. You know, no kid, no money. Yeah, that's basically the enforcement by the carrot, right?
Yeah, I mean, if the father is forced to pay for the child, then at least he should be able to get to visit the child once every 2 weeks or something. I mean, that really is the sort of minimum what you should expect. But no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but apparently that's misogyny. Anyway, going to the next one, I think that's from you.
Yes. It's from the Süddeutsche, and it's an article called Civil Service, Why Women Are So Rarely Suited. In case of equal suitability, ability, and professional performance, women are to be promoted preferentially. That's what it says in the laws on equal standing, equal rights, and equal opportunity, which have existed in Germany since the early 90s. The phrasing that women should be promoted preferentially, quote, in case of equal suitability, ability, and professional performance, end quote, sounds nice, but it doesn't work. Decades after the introduction of these so-called performance-rated quota systems, women are still significantly underrepresented in leadership roles. The laws on equal standing are, as can be seen in the civil service, running idle. They only create an illusion of women's advancement. Why this is the case has now been worked out by Hans-Jürgen Papier, the former president of the Federal Constitutional Court, in a 58-page expertise for the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. Because assessment criteria for the candidates are tampered with until candidates with equal suitability no longer exist. The criteria are applied in such a way that, quote, that practically always one applicant has to be classified as the most highly qualified, end quote. And when in doubt, that's a man. The problem, therefore, was, quote, the handling of the performance criteria in administrative and judicial practice, end quote. The criteria are refined long enough such that the end result is always a ranking of candidates, so that the case of equal qualification doesn't occur at all. Thus, the quota rule, which is just to be applied in case of equal qualification, is leading us nowhere, Papier writes. His expertise is to be presented on Tuesday. To change this, he says it was imperative to legally limit tampering with qualification criteria. Papier calls it the differentiation of qualification criteria. According to Papier, a revision of the laws would look like this. Quote, women are to be promoted preferentially unless an applicant can show obviously better suitability, ability, or professional performance. In this way, differentiation according to the minutest detail will be prevented by law. With this phrasing, Papier wants to achieve a sensitive balance between two relevant constitutional norms. On the one hand, Article 33, paragraph 2 of the Grundgesetz says that every German shall have equal access to every public office in accordance with his suitability, ability, and professional performance. But on the other hand, Article 3, paragraph 2, second sentence, also establishes the duty of the state to advance equality. The state supports the actual enforcement of equal rights for men and women and works to eliminating existing disadvantages. Based on Papier's expertise, North Rhine-Westphalia state government wants to reform women's advancement in the state to fill more leadership positions with female candidates. Minister of Emancipation Barbara Steffens, and I don't think such a ministry actually exists, but we had that topic on the show already. They always sort of make up names for these ministries, which have like a name that is like 10 words long or something. So basically, she's from the Green Party, and the North Rhine-Westphalia Minister of the Interior, Ralf Jäger of the Social Democrats, want to get more women into leadership positions. Quote, this legal expertise is a milestone on the way to more women in top positions of the civil service. We now need to find ways to structure the women's quota in ways to make it more effective. End quote. Minister Steffens explains, he who demands more female leaders of private industry had to also move forward in his own domain to remain credible. At the end of 2012, more than half, 58.7%, of the state government's employees were women, according to the minister's numbers. In the higher service too, the majority of employees, 54.8% were female. But despite all of this, the higher the position, the lower the proportion of women. On the lowest rung of the higher service, the proportion of women was 64.6%. On the highest level, it was just 27.4%. In the very top positions, the proportion of women is less than a quarter, 24.6%. The proportion of women in leading positions in schools is often cited as a positive example. In North Rhine-Westphalia, this proportion is slightly more than 50%, whereas almost 70% of all teachers are women. Of course, Hans-Jürgen Papier has examined these numbers more closely, and it turns out that things look less positive. At the Gymnasien, which is like a sort of a high school, but but it's like a 8 or 9 year old program, a 9-year program.
From the 5th grade to 12th, something like that.
Yeah, 5th to 12th or 13th, and it's sort of very roughly like the like top third of students or something like that go to the gymnasium. Mm-hmm. So at the Gymnasien, only 28.4% of heads are women. The proportion of women among teachers is at 57.7%. Equality between men and women must not end below the leadership level, Minister of the Interior Ralf Jäger therefore emphasizes. A modern administration needed a balanced ratio of men and women in leadership positions. Because I say so. Because I say so is, of course, my commentary, but...
Of course, yeah, but I don't know how to put it in order not to sound like a complete asshole, but...
let it all out, please.
Why is this complete drive to have so-called representation? That is not, I mean, no industry, no matter if it's public sector or private sector or whatever, non-profit, it doesn't matter. No enterprise ever on the planet is representative of the general public, neither by sex or by race or by left-handed people or by whatever. It doesn't matter what criteria you choose. It's never going to be representative. Why is this drive to have forcibly bring in people in there who otherwise would just not get in there or not want to be there, part of that thing? Why?
I can't answer that. You're going to have to ask people like Hans-Jürgen Papier. That's sort of the thing that always astonishes me with these sorts of articles. They are just implicitly assuming that underrepresentation of women is somehow a problem. And if you look into the comment sections of articles like that, most of the people that are commenting there don't accept that. Most, like under that article, most of the people were very critical of this article, and they said this is a nonsense, and we don't need this sort of affirmative action. But it is just blithely assumed by these.
And what's even more astounding is that their implicit assumption is that, but there is institutionalized sexism that's preventing women from getting to those positions in the public sector, civil service, whatever. Okay, let's assume for half a second that's true. Their trade-off, their proposed trade-off or quote-unquote solution is to have what? Institutionalized sexism? I mean, seriously? And they're saying this with a straight face. Whilst you're reading, it said, but we should have a preferential treatment for women. That's essentially institutionalized sexism. And somehow that's good because the leftist party or the Greens, whatever, that's somehow good because the Green Party does it. And it's a bad thing because they purport that it exists without bringing any evidence for it. And then their solution is more institutionalized sexism, but led by them. And how's that making things any way better? And the original report actually said that it doesn't make things better, and essentially it's not helping anyone.
You know, the initial report says that it's basically not going far enough because it's not enough to prefer women if they're equally suited, but now they should be preferred as long as no other candidate is obviously more qualified.
So if it's slightly more qualified, we should kick him out.
Then the women should still be promoted.
Right. Very egalitarian indeed.
Yeah.
Amazing. And the fact that they can get away with this, I mean, if the electorate doesn't punish them at all, speaks volumes a lot, quite about, even for the population. I mean, who would... Personally, if a politician of my favorite political party would come up with such nonsense, that would be it. I mean, there's no way in hell I'm going to vote for you again.
Yeah, but I mean, the voters of the Greens and the Social Democrats and so on, they don't think like that. Otherwise, they wouldn't vote for these parties in the first place.
Yeah,
I mean, those parties
enough.
also have in their internal organization, they have a very strong women's quotas, and like the Greens have 50%, and they have a particular women's veto at their
where only women vote
and so on.
for certain issues. Yeah.
The majority of women can veto any topic, and I mean.
Why do they call it the Green Party? They should choose another name that also starts with G, call it the Gynocentric Party, if they have these kinds of policies internally. I mean, at least be honest.
Well, it's sort of the environmentalism, feminism, socialism, this sort of mix.
Yeah. They always seem to mix together, don't they?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move to the next one, which is... The next one is just more from Sweden. Friatider.se. Alfons Åberg anklagas för sexism. Alfons Åberg is accused of sexism. Alfons Åberg is the author of a very popular cartoon that it's loved by children of all generations in Sweden. I mean, it's a very old cartoon of 20 years now, and every single generation of children enjoyed it. Anyway, Gunilla Bergström writes about the popular children movie of Alfons Åberg, and according to her, this one spreads sexism and misogyny. A male feminist at SVT wrote a piece about it and now requires the film to be censored. In a blog post that went viral, Joachim Lamotte, a male feminist and an anchor at SVT, known for his show Mission Review, talks about how he went to the cinema and saw the film Alphonse and Milla, made in 1994, together with his daughter. He describes the shock that he suffered when he saw one of the scenes in the movie where some little boys say that you should not play with the girls because they're boring, and the movie also presents something called girl cooties, and presents the girls being more cozy to the teacher. Although the film is based on Alphonse, however, the main character still chooses to play with the girl Milla, and the claims that made by the SVT journalist that it is harmful to children and it should be stopped by SF are essentially false. And in any future context, my daughter will now know that she has to relate to the male gaze. And I'll say it again, she is 3 years and 8 months, and it is too early to get jaw bangs of what she would later in life expect in patriarchal and sexist structures, writes Joachim Lamotte. SF, the company that distributes the film, has no plans to yield to the journalist's claim. We have shown these films many times, and they are very popular. To stop showing now feels like a wrong thing to do, says SF CEO Thomas Runfors. So essentially, an asshat from SVT goes to the cinema with his daughter. The daughter loves the movie, just like all the other Swedish children that have watched the movie since 1994 till the present day, and then writes a blog piece that is essentially nonsensical. I read his blog piece. I was considering reading that one on the air, but it's too nonsensical, and it's nonsensical in Swedish, so for me to translate that verbatim posed some little problems. And that post goes viral and gets a wide range of approval. What the hell, Sweden? I mean, really? And that comes in the same time when Sweden just got some new incidents of small revolts in the country. In the same time when the feminist initiative just provoked another individual to commit suicide following extensive bullying. And that's pretty much in the same context, you know. And the most read piece is this garbage that a male feminist from SVT saw something he didn't like in a cartoon. What?
Yeah, and it sounds like the cartoon is not even the slightest bit sexist or anything like that. I mean,
it's not. I know the cartoon. It's not. I mean, seriously, how can one draw conclusions about patriarchal structures and male gaze from a fairly innocent cartoon for 3-year-olds, for crying out loud?
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, boys not wanting to play with girls now is sexism. I mean, what do these people want? Do they want all children to be forced to play with all other children for a particular amount of time, so that every child plays with every other child in the neighborhood for exactly the same number of minutes every day, so that no one gets discriminated against? What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? But think about it. This thing has actually been tried. Maybe James can remember. It was back in the days when Hoofnagel was the regular co-host. We had a story like this in a school in United Kingdom, I think it was, or was it in France? And never mind. It was a school somewhere in Europe that essentially forbid the pupils to have so-called best friends because other pupils might feel excluded.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, seriously? No. The only good... Go ahead.
This whole thing is at the core totalitarian. That is, they don't want to allow people to have private relationships according to their own wishes, but no, all that should be determined first by the teachers in the kindergarten, in the school, and then later by the government, which mandates how much time people are allowed to spend with particular people. It is, I mean, even in 1984, there wasn't that much totalitarianism. It was still accepted that people had particular friends or comrades that they spent time with. You weren't forced to spend time with everyone equally, but apparently that's not totalitarian for them enough.
Yeah, but 1984 was a long time ago. We progressed in the meanwhile. I mean, if you put that in a progressive continuum, now we're up to the point where we just have to go one step further and apply absolute equality of outcome everywhere. And the very thought that little cartoon boy has a preference for with whom to play with, that's sexist. That's patriarchal.
It's discrimination.
Yeah, discrimination. And if that's not bad enough, wait to see the next one. The next one coming from the Daily Mail. Teach boys how to be feminists to stop culture of abuse towards girls, says Labour. Of course, they say. Schoolboys need to have lessons in feminism to help teach them how to treat women, Labour claims. Compulsory sex education classes should be held in all schools to tackle the rise of sexist abuse fueled by internet porn, Yvette Cooper said. The Shadow Home Secretary warned a culture is spreading in schools where girls are subject to verbal abuse and have their shirts undone and skirts lifted by boys who do not respect them. Schools, colleges, and universities are to be consulted on changes in rules or the law which are needed to tackle the problem. Labour warns that too many boys believe abuse is normal and it is fueling the culture of violence against women and girls. None of that is true, but anyway. Ms. Cooper insisted the problems being played out in classrooms today are more than the hormonal mix of overexcited boys, irritated girls, and clumsy flirting that gets a bit out of hand. Writing in The Independent, she said the problems are getting worse with growing levels of abuse and harassment of young women and girls. The National Union of Students is also worried about a trend of jokes about rape and innocent groping on campuses. Now, is this the same National Union of Students who bans people from reading, what was that, Nietzsche? Because if that's the source, sorry, I don't trust anything they say. And Labour would introduce compulsory sex and relationship education into school, which would include teaching zero tolerance of violence in relationships. Ms. Cooper added, for years we have talked about the importance of empowering our daughters, giving them the confidence to challenge abuse and bringing them up as feminists. Thank you for honesty. If we are going to achieve a real step change in tackling violence against women, we need our sons growing up as confident feminists too. Oh, God help us. She added that violence and viciousness towards women have been tolerated for too long. Is that true? Of course not. Anyway, Labour pointed to figures showing that 21% of rapists and over a quarter of domestic violence perpetrators are under 24. Ms. Cooper added, so-called revenge porn is growing, making young lives a misery when an ex posts their half-naked photos or stalks them online. She recalled one teacher describing how teenage girls face vile verbal abuse on a daily basis. Okay, revenge porn, maybe. Vile verbal abuse on a daily basis. Call me skeptical on that.
You know how you take care of revenge porn?
You don't do it.
Yeah, you don't film the shit.
Yeah.
How hard is that? I mean, really.
Girls are heckled if they dare to speak in class, their shirts forcibly undone, and their skirts lifted and held by groups of boys. She added, it would be easy and, let's be honest, more comfortable to dismiss this as a one-off, or the inevitable temporary rite of teenage passage. After all, we all remember that hormonal mix of overexcited boys, irritated girls, and clumsy flirting that gets out of hand. Sadly, it's rather more than that. It's certainly not temporary, and the evidence shows it's getting worse. Right. And this is coming from an individual. This is the funniest part. This individual got her job following a woman-only shortlist. Much equality. And, I wanted to read her independent article, but it was just way too bloody long. So that's why I chose the Daily Mail story, which is a bit more, a shorter summary of the claptrap that's in there. But anyway, I went into the independent article and I wanted to just read these 3 paragraphs, which are pretty much tells you anything you want to know about how the Labour Party views this thing. So quoting from the independent article that is linked in the Daily Mail story, quote, that is why today at Labour's Women's Safety Conference, #LabWomenSafety, we're demanding action. We're calling for a new law to tackle violence against women, reforming the criminal justice system, bringing in new national standards for policing and victim support, and stronger prevention too. Over the next few months, we'll be gathering evidence and views so we can make sure the plans are ready for the election and the first Queen's speech. We're bringing together those who have experienced abuse with experts in how policing and the justice system must be reformed. We'll be joined by unions and employers who've worked to tackle harassment in the workplace and those campaigning for safety on our streets. And we will hear from Laura Bates, the founder of Everyday Sexism, Caroline Criado-Perez, the feminist campaigner who spoke out against sexist online trolling, and young women like Yas Nekati, the 18-year-old who set up Campaign for Consent, and the 16-year-old Lily Evans who set up the Twitter Feminist Youth Army. Yay! Hey, look at that much equality and much sophistication.
You think they wear red sashes and have their 2 minutes of hate against the patriarchy every day?
Probably they do. But these Labour politicians, because let's face it, these are Labour politicians, period. They always try to look sophisticated and complex. But what we get is this Dumbo who got her job following a sexist quota, bringing much sophistication from teens who set up a Twitter army. Can feminism be more pathetic than this? I don't know. Back in my day, the 16-year-olds were busier with their high school. They weren't busy setting up ideological armies and weighing in on public policy. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care much about whether they want to be get politically involved or something, but I don't think that this necessarily needs to be supported by the National Labour Party. I mean, okay, she sets up her campaign there and on Twitter or something. Okay, let her do that. But why does it need this sort of broad support from this big party?
I mean, seriously, and you can call me what is the term? What is the social justice term of discounting very young individuals' political opinions? Ageist or something like that?
Ageism, but ageism usually is discounting older people, like discriminating against older people. But I think it's also, if you discriminate against younger people, maybe too.
Anyway, I don't know what's the social justice wanker term, but anyway, you can call me whatever it is, the social justice wanker term. But I really do think that a 16-year-old should not weigh in on public policy, like, at all. Their brain is not entirely formed. Some of the things cannot be entirely clear to them, even with the internet. And there's surely an argument to be made that the 16-year-olds in the 1980s were dumber than the 16-year-olds in 2014. That's probably true, up to an extent. Yeah, if I think
the education system has been dumbed down quite a bit.
Yes,
the last couple of decades.
That's also true. But anyway, even if there is a reason why we have the voting age at 18. There is a reason why 16-year-olds are in high schools and not in the parliament. There is a reason for all these things. And if your policy is based on what the chief of the Twitter Feminist Youth Army, who is 16, if your policy is based on what that person says, that pretty much says everything I need to know about your policy. That is, put it to the garbage disposal.
I'm not so sure on that whole age thing. I think there's definitely a lot of 16-year-olds who are better informed than many people who are 40 or 50 years old. I think it's not so much to do with age, but with just with how interested you are, how much you read, how much you think critically about these issues. In particular with voting, I mean, the vast majority of voters are just completely ignorant and irrational, and I don't think that there's really so much of a difference between a 16-year-old and the average adult here. It's just that this whole culture we have of this this sort of democratic ideal where everyone's opinion counts and every opinion is equally valid or something like that. No, bullshit. There's opinions which are well informed and opinions which are complete nonsense.
Yes.
And not everyone's voice needs to be heard. Some voices are just too stupid to be heard.
True story. You're right. But then again, if you would says the 16-year-old Lily Evans, who is a European champion at the academic debate with 4 years over her category, that would be the kind of person who's harder to discount based on age. But when you said the 16-year-old Lily Evans, who set up the Twitter Feminist Youth Army, and that's the only thing ever accomplished, that's when I get into it. Really? How about no?
Yeah. I'm also curious about how this was said, I think twice in the article, that the evidence shows it's getting worse. What evidence?
Yeah, not even the original independent article cites any sort of evidence. And also, I remember reading, I don't know where, and I'll have to look it up and present it in either in a new article on AVFM or in the next show, this thing that more and more boys believe that abuse is normal. That is a straw man, because their survey in which they base this assertion was made on a sample, like, I don't know, 50 boys or 60 boys, something like that. And the questions were obviously skewed. I mean, and then after the questions got their answers, then they basically arbitrarily decide that this is abuse, this isn't, based on a very loose definition of abuse. Pretty much like domestic violence. If I tell my wife that, honey, please don't call to Japan tonight, or this week actually, because we already have a very huge bill on the telephone. Call in next week after the bill renews. That's domestic violence according to the UK feminists, because it's denying her access to her culture or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, of course, if you keep expanding those definitions, then I don't doubt that the number of incidents increases. But yes, overall, if you look at real crimes like assault and murder and rape and so on, if you look at the actual criminal statistics, you see over the last 20-30 years a significant drop in crime rates.
Of
So
course.
I would be very surprised if what she's saying there is actually true about rising incidents.
Yes,
of this.
2014 is the least violent year in the whole humanities history, and 2015 will probably be the least violent year in the whole humanities history. The overall levels of violence all over the planet are dropping. So these kinds of things are, but it's increasingly a number of boys think that abuse is normal. No, that's just not true. Anyway, going to the last one, which is from Lesabel, and I yield the mic to Jon because maybe you can read that without laughing. I can't.
Okay,
it's only a fragment.
Okay. World Cup soccer stats erase the sport's most dominant players. Women. There are few sporting events I get as excited about. There are few sporting events I get as excited about as the World Cup. I played soccer in high school and the NCAA and for 5 years post-college, including 2 glorious years in the Golden Gate Women's League, Premier Division. What the US men's national team has accomplished is extraordinary, with a second consecutive appearance in the knockout round and incredible teamwork and fortitude against 4 formidable opponents. Only one thing mars my enjoyment of watching the World Cup, and it's the absence of one small word. Just a tiny qualifier in a statistic that really should be corrected as our men's team continues to gain respect internationally. So I ask the American commentators, please stop announcing that Landon Donovan is the all-time US leading goal scorer. He's not. With 57 international goals, he's not even in the top 5. The all-time US leading goal scorer is Abby Wambach with 167 goals, followed by Mia Hamm, 158, Christine Lilly, 130, Michelle Ackers, 105, and Tiffany Milbert, 100. In fact, Abby Wambach is the all-time leading goal scorer in the world, among all soccer players, male or female. One could argue that the men's game may be a lower scoring game than the women's, with 12 women having 100 or more international goals and only one man, Iran's Ali Day. Or perhaps women's soccer careers simply last longer, allowing them to play more games on the international stage. After all, the US women's national team generally goes a lot farther in the Olympics and the World Cup than our men do, and many of their games end in penalty kicks, so of course they would have more opportunities to put points on the board. For a more direct comparison of the statistics, however, consider this. 4 current or past members of the US women's national team are among the top 10 goal scorers in the world, including number 1 and 2. Whereas our highest scoring male player is number 20. I don't want to take anything away from what Landon Donovan has achieved. It is commendable, but every time he sits there, silently allowing that phrase to be rattled off, all-time leading US goal scorer, without pointing out that he is the all-time leading men's goal scorer, it does take away from what Abby Wambach and Mia Hamm have achieved. Total world domination. In sports like tennis and gymnastics, where the US women clearly outstrip their male counterparts, no one talks about the men's statistics without that clarifier. Why is soccer different? Why are almost all other sports different? Why do people consistently claim that Mike Krzyzewski is the winningest coach in college basketball, when he is still 115 wins behind Pat Summitt, with a significantly lower win percentage? His .763 to her .841. How hard would it be to simply slip the word men's into the conversation, if nothing else, in the interest of accuracy? So it skips a few paragraphs because it's just nonsense. And next time someone on national TV refers to Landon Donovan as the all-time leading goal scorer for the US, it would be great if he displayed some of the dignity and grace he possesses and say, all-time leading men's soccer. There are 7 US women higher on that list than me.
How about Lyndon Donovan goes full Zlatan Ibrahimovic on then and said, look, if those women, if they want, they can get a bicycle signed by me. You know, like Zlatan Ibrahimovic did with the Swedish media. You know, Zlatan Ibrahimovic was in the middle of a huge scandal, if you remember. We covered that at the time. The same kind of stunt was pulled, but not just by a small feminist website like it happens in the US, but the entire Swedish media went to him and said, look, you got all this appreciation for your, 90-something goals he scored for the national squad of Sweden. And there is this lady who nobody has ever heard of, who scored 190 for the Swedish national squad. Most of them in friendly games, but doesn't matter. And he said, look, and I should be compared to her by what? No, I compare myself with comparable players, like, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, and things of that nature, you know? That's the league I'm playing in. I don't give a fuck. What the hell is that lady? If she wants, I can send her a bicycle signed by my name, you know? And the media went just full apeshit. When he did that, because you know he essentially pointed out a huge hypocrisy. No. Women's football is not a sport comparable with what I play. It's just not, and will never be. Yeah. But now I remember when I heard the name Mia Hamm. I remember because I saw a clip made by Men Woman Myth some years ago, and. It was a parody of a feminist cartoon, and we said, "Oh, look, here's the great soccer players of the world. Here is Pelé, and then Mia Hamm, but it was pronounced dubiously. And then Man Woman Myth just asked Mia who." So apparently, this person exists and scored 158. Right, and then if you look at the male counterpart, is a guy in Iran, Alim Dai. Which, I don't know, the Iranian league ranks something like 130 from 150 leagues of the world. So that pretty much tells you anything you need to know about people scoring over 100 goals in professionals. I mean, that's just not possible. Soccer doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Miroslav Klose just got in the best scorer at the World Cup of all time with what, 20 goals or something like that?
I think it's even less than that. I think like 17
even
or something.
Less. Yeah, even less than that. That's how soccer works. These ladies, congratulations to them scoring in the 5th grade level, but that doesn't...
That would be like counting the statistics from someone playing somewhere in the youth league against people from the next town or something, and this guy scored 100 goals playing against other 12-year-olds or something. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, even the statistics with the youth league would still be an improvement. But no, I would rather compare women's football with junior league, like 11-year-olds. 12 at most, because the Olympic champions, Sweden, the female football, played against a bunch of 15, 16-year-olds just recently. We covered that when we had women's sports as a topic, and the boys were also not allowed to play to do sliding tackles, and they were also not allowed to have 11 players on the field, just 10 players on the field. And the match lasted 80 minutes, not 90. And the boys still defeated them 3-0, and it could have been worse. And again, those were 15-year-old boys versus professional career soccer women. Yeah. So no, I'm sorry. That Mia whatever and Christine, nobody heard of her. Yeah, congratulations. You scored in your own little neighborhood at the 11-year-old level. Yeah, congratulations. But you'll never ever be compared with Lyndon Donovan, who is one of the very few American football players who actually got a career in Europe and in the Premier League nonetheless. I mean, that guy is a good football player, but that Mia whatever, no way.
I believe it's time to insert a very apt quotation from Boris Becker, the famous German tennis player. It goes like this. Men play tennis. women play women's tennis.
Fair enough.
That is essentially it. It's like
Yes.
a different sport. It's a completely different thing.
Yes.
And women are not the most dominant players. Maybe the US women's team is dominant compared to other women's teams, but it's not. They're playing against completely different competition.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that most countries are, especially, in most countries, the women's football is not privately funded like it's the case with football. It's usually funded somehow by the government. And since most countries have other problems before funding women's football, most countries don't have such a team. Not even or barely a national squad, but not a full league. I mean, I remember I went into a town nearby Cluj where they had a nice tourist resort in there, and when I went to the lunch, there was women's football running on TV in the restaurant where I was eating, and there was a match between, I think it was Kaiserslautern against Wolfsburg. It was from internal women's league in Germany. And we were I was with my girlfriend, and we were looking at that thing, and we were saying the only thing missing from this is the music from Benny Hill on the background. That was essentially it. I mean, it's not comparable at all. Demanding to have all this qualification, but men's football, that would essentially mean comparing football with basketball. They're just different sports. They're not relatively equivalent or least equal. They're just completely different things.
And also, she talks about in sports like tennis and gymnastics, where the US women clearly outstrip their male counterparts. No, they fucking don't.
No, they don't. They don't. Serena Williams had that thing that I can beat any man ranked 200 and below. And then a German guy ranked 206 said, okay, challenge accepted. He wiped the floor with her, and she was the leader of WTA. So, no, they don't.
Yeah, they don't outstrip their male counterparts. They just they compare more favorably towards the female players than the male players do towards other male players. That's a completely different issue.
It's like, men's tennis is the Bundesliga, and the women's tennis is something like Regionalliga or something like that.
Yeah, I guess the difference is greater than that.
Or even greater than that. Yeah. Do you have 8th league or something like that in Germany? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Enough with that. We have a lot of feminist pseudoscience to cover in the second part, so let's go straight to the music break. Iranian death metal band Arsames, name of the song Pursuit of the Vikings. So Arsames, Pursuit of Vikings. And we're back. We've listened to Arsames, The Pursuit of Vikings. From now on, I'm going to announce the opening of the call-in lines, although first we're going to read some crappy and then we'll take in calls. The call-in number from Europe is 001-214-666-6148. I'm going to say it again, 001-214-666-6148. Obviously from the US without the 001, so 214-666-6148. Okay, feminist pseudoscience. The first one is ecofeminism. Ecofeminism describes movements and philosophies that link feminism with ecology. The term is believed to have been coined by the French writer Françoise d'Aubonne in her book Le Féminisme ou la Mort. So, feminism or death. No illusion of grandeur there. No, nothing to see here. Ecofeminism.
Either a feminist or you're a bigot.
Yeah, here is you're either a feminist or you're dead, which it's quite a frightening. I mean, I've heard that before. You're either against us or, yeah, anyway. Ecofeminism connects the exploitation and domination of women with that of the environment and argues that there is historical connection between women and nature. Ecofeminists believe that this connection is illustrated through the traditionally female values of reciprocity, nurturing, and cooperation, which are present among women and in nature. Nurturing in nature? No, not really. Anyway, additionally, ecofeminists draw connection between menstruation and moon cycles, childbirth and creation, etc. Women and nature are also united through their shared history of oppression by a patriarchal Western society. In the essay titled Ecofeminism Towards Global Justice and Planetary Health, authors Greta Gord and Lori Gruen outline what they call the ecofeminist framework. This framework is intended to establish ways of viewing and understanding our current global situations so that we are better able to understand how we arrived at this point and what may be done to ameliorate the ills. The four sides of the frame are the mechanistic materialist model of the universe that resulted from the scientific revolution and the subsequent reduction of all things into mere resources to be optimized, dead inert matter to be used, the rise of patriarchal religions and their establishment of gender hierarchies, along with their denial of immanent divinity, self and other dualisms and the inherent power and domination ethic it entails, and capitalism and its intrinsic need for the exploitation, destruction, and instrumentalization of animals, earth, and people for the sole purpose of creating wealth. They hold that these four factors have brought us to what ecofeminists see as a separation between nature and culture that is the root source of our planetary ills. The essay, which is available at some link, provides a wealth of data and statistics in addition to laying out the theoretical aspects of the ecofeminist critique. Vandana Shiva claims that women have a special connection to the environment through their daily interactions, and this connection has been ignored. She says that women in subsistence economies who produce wealth in partnership with nature have been experts in their own right of holistic and ecological knowledge of nature's process. However, she makes the point that these alternative models of knowing, which are oriented to the social benefits and sustenance needs, are not recognized by the capitalist reductionist paradigm because it fails to perceive the interconnectedness of nature or the connection of women's lives, work, and knowledge with the creation of wealth. What? I mean, at some point it becomes very difficult to understand whether you're on Wikipedia or on Tumblr. I mean, from some point on, it doesn't just make any sense whatsoever. And this portion with the women in the subsistence economies have a better knowledge of nature's processes. Want to bet that all the women folk in the subsistence economies just dream to emigrate to Europe or North America? Want to bet?
Yeah, I'm not going to take that bet.
I mean, seriously. and the capitalist reductionist paradigm. What the fuck that is?
Yeah, these assholes are essentially just anti-human. They just what they're talking about here as capitalism is just what human beings do. They view nature as a provider of resources. That's not something that is brought about by capitalism, but that's how humans and most other animals have always operated. You used a game that you hunt and kill to get meat and furs and so on. You have fish that you fish to eat them. You have all sorts of plants that you kill to eat them. You have trees that you cut down to make huts or tools or whatever. Humans have always operated on this paradigm. It has nothing to do with patriarchy or capitalism or anything like that.
Yeah, and what makes the point even better that these asshats are essentially anti-human is probably the portion of the link from the concepts. I'm just going to read one paragraph and then we're going to get in the color. In Ecofeminism, 1993, authors Vandana Shiva, Maria Miskritik, and and Evan Bondi ponder modern science and its acceptance as a universal and value-free system. Instead, they view the dominant stream of modern science as a projection of Western men's values. The privilege of determining what is considered scientific knowledge has been controlled by men, and for the most part of history restricted to men. Bondi and Miles list examples including the medicalization of childbirth and the industrialization of plant reproduction. So essentially, medicalization of childbirth, which is the single factor that cut back almost entirely the death rates for women, that's somehow a patriarchal privilege and essentially oppression. Yeah,
and also industrialization of plant reproduction.
Which essentially fed us all better.
Yeah, this person really, really must hate humanity. She wants women to die in childbirth. She wants children to be stillborn. She wants lots of people to starve to death because we don't have enough food to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I see we have our own Iron John on the line. Let's bring him in. John?
Hello, Lucian, and the co-host from Germany and the producer from the United States. How are you guys doing this week?
We're doing great. We're laughing at the feminist pseudoscience.
It's great to be
back
I've got
on. Something that's probably... Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. Me too. You guys were talking about equalities. Before we get to pseudoscience, you talked about equal before, and I just wanted to clear that up. I think I can explain it, and then it will all be clear, especially from the feminist mind.
Go ahead.
Equal doesn't mean the same. Equal doesn't mean identical. It does not mean interchangeable. This is a feminist take on Marxism. When they talk about equal, they assume that men do not actually earn their success. They assume that men do not compete. They assume that men do not fail. They assume that men are given everything they have, their place in society, their possessions, so on and so forth. So equal to a feminist means that they get given stuff too. Women are given an equal amount as men are.
That may be the case, but I don't think it's really Marxism because I mean, contrary to what a lot of people think, Marx was not really didn't really believe that all people were equal or that there wasn't competition or anything like that. But I do think that your wider point is accurate.
Right. Well, you have to remember that it's a feminist version, so it's not pure Marxism. It's their interpretation of it. No, of course not. We're not talking about different social classes like Marx would have talked about. They're talking about gender classes. So it's not a one-to-one comparison. It's close, but it's not identical. It's their own take to disguise what they're doing.
Basically a bastardization of an already incoherent and completely false system.
Yes, precisely. So I hope this clears it up. I hope you understand what they mean when they say equal. It's not what we're thinking. It's not what we assume. They don't mean let's have equal representation. No, they assume men are just given all that stuff. So women should get it too.
And the important thing about clarifying what equality means is that it only means equal amount of stuff everywhere where women have less. So if women are already doing better in some particular area, then that's just their natural superiority. So that's entirely earned then.
And this is why they're so pissed off about not having an equal, that's that word again, number of women in any particular powerful position, because they feel they've been cheated. And who doesn't get upset when they're cheated?
Yeah, okay.
That's how the twisted feminist mind tends to work. So I just thought I could help clear that up a little.
Okay.
But if you guys have any thoughts, Lucian or James, if you have any thoughts on this, does it seem to make sense to you? I mean, doesn't seem too far out of the universe of feminism.
In a very fucked up sense, yeah, it does make sense. But quite frankly, it's still, I mean, just like Jon pointed out, it's still not entirely consistent, and not even consistent with their own theory. I mean, if that is the case, then how does the double standard explained by Jon fits into all this narrative? I mean, if people are given certain stuff...
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I think you understood my question.
I was just... Well, they're not honest. So they're willing to ignore discrepancies in order to get what they want.
Yes, they basically don't have really a theory. They just have sort of ad hoc rationalizations for giving more stuff to women.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's greed, nothing more.
And they just use whatever cheap tricks they can get their hands on. And since a lot of people believe in egalitarianism, they use the word equal a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, I've never accused feminists of being honest and fair and rational. Of course not. This is greed. This is some of the worst parts of humanity on display, and we've seen the kind of stuff feminists do are in favor of. So this just really should not be a surprise to anyone who's critical of them.
Oh, I do think that a lot of them are indeed rational, because a lot of the stuff they're doing is working. They're it's not that that they are irrational. They just have they're basically just evil. At least quite a lot of them. A lot of them are, of course, irrational people who do genuinely want to improve the lives of women or something like that. But a lot of these women are just after their own power and their own money, and for them, feminism is working out great.
Sure, that would be a good example, I think. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to pseudoscience.
Great. Yeah, I have an opinion on that too. I'd like to share what feminists are doing.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll start with science, and then we can move into pseudoscience, if you guys don't mind. With the science, like feminist biology, for instance, or feminist, ecology, I think it's really simple. I think they're trying to legitimize... God, I can't say that word. Give legitimacy to feminism by attaching it to something else that already has legitimacy. And once they manage to infiltrate it, they'll control it. and they'll use it for their own purposes exclusively. I think it's nothing more than a takeover to improve their position.
I actually have a different theory, and that is that academics need to publish papers. That is what they have to do to stay relevant, to advance in their careers. They have to constantly come up with new things to publish about. So they will just use whatever thing is trendy right now and slap feminism onto it, and then you get ecofeminism and feminist biology and all sorts of other things that where they just sort of mindlessly rehashing feminist points and sort of loosely connecting them to whatever other field they want to get into. So it's just a way for them to be able to publish papers and to be able to publish books and to build an academic career. I think that's what's mostly driving this.
So if I understand correctly, your take on this is that they are creating subfields in order to have new fields to farm, essentially?
Yeah, essentially.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, they need to at least stay.
I've got another thing to add on to that, and that's the fact that when we look at competition in the hard sciences, we're looking at individuals who are government-funded idiots, essentially, who've not made it there through the merit of their minds, but instead through their genitalia.
So essentially, you already have irrelevant individuals, and at least to keep the appearance of relevance, they pop up with new nonsense like this. That's what you're saying, James?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, if they're trying to bullshit people because they don't really have any hard science under their belt. I mean, oh gosh, X, Y, and Z is too complex for me because Lord knows I barely made it through anything off of merit. Instead, I was pushed through government-funded, all kinds of nice initiatives, set up to allow me to skip my way through school. And now that I'm in the real world, oh God, what am I going to talk about? Oh well, wait a minute. I'll just go ahead and mix some easy social science in with some of this X, Y, and Z hard science and make people think I know a whole lot.
Yeah, especially these. I mean, I've seen that in several universities across Europe. Some of these academicians are essentially in make-work jobs. I mean, the entire world would be better off, or at least not at all affected, if their whole discipline would be just discounted altogether and just simply removed from the curricula.
What particular discipline are you talking about?
Well, for instance, feminist biology, that comes first, and the department of psychoanalysis, Freudian psychoanalysis, that is still existent in Sorbonne in France, and things.
Is there actually such a thing?
Yes, there is.
And is it like part of the psychology department?
Yes.
Or is it like in like
you can still get a degree in psychoanalysis in France. In Sorbonne, and I think in Lyon as well. I'm not sure. But at least in one place, I'm sure it exists because I just read a paper that they published just, 2 months ago.
Well, I mean,
so
I
know
know
that it exists.
I know that in a lot of other fields in like literary criticism and so on, that they still use Freudian stuff because they like to make things up, and whether it's based on a true theory or not is completely irrelevant. But that it's actually they actually still teach Freudian psychoanalysis in actual psychology departments. That is really shocking to me.
Yeah, it exists. Go, look it up. I'm sure there are some. I mean, I read them in French, but I'm sure there are some references to it in English as well. But yeah, at least in one place in France exists. I think it's in 2 places, but at least in one place in Sorbonne, definitely it exists. I just read a piece from them. So yeah, these are the kinds of disciplines that the entire planet would be better off if they wouldn't exist.
I mean, what is next? A Lysenkoisk biology department or something? I mean, a physics department that's operating under the principles of Deutsche Physik or what?
A physics department that works under the impression that Newton's Principia is a rape manual and that E equals mc square is a sexed equation.
Yeah.
We're laughing, but there are feminists out there, academic feminists, who genuinely believe that Newton's Principia is a rape manual. And they teach that shit to students. There's no joke in that. I mean, bloody Richard Dawkins talked about this, and he used to be essentially on the left and with feminists and all that, and even he eventually said, "Stop this fucking nonsense, you're ruining the whole place." Amazing. Okay, we still have a little time before the music break, so let's put this one out there as well, because people need to laugh more. So we had ecofeminism. We need to put this, really, I'm going to read just one paragraph or maybe two before going to the music break. We-equality.com, which is essentially a website, a whole library of feminist astrology. And I'm not joking. Let's read from the front page. A new relationship paradigm. If you can actually make sense of these first three paragraphs, please explain to me. Okay, quote. Relationships as well as family are in the process of changing dramatically. Single-parent families and same-sex parent families are revolutionizing the familial landscape. Relationships are far more casual than those of past generations. Serial relationships instead of committed lifelong relationships are becoming the norm. Dating is as much a sexual marketplace as it's a process of finding a life partner. An integral part of this shift includes our definition of gender roles and our respective places within society. As we approach the age of Aquarius, and this is where the crazy begins, the traditional structure of relationship will change to meet an increasingly Aquarian paradigm. In fact, this process has already begun. Aquarius rules non-conformity with traditional, open relationships, friendships, and revolutionary new ways of looking at and doing things. This often means instability leading to the breakdown of relationship. The shifting patterns of relationships that have affected society over the last 200 years marks the breakdown of traditional families and relationships and the creation of something new and different. And this has taken place, our definitions of our gender roles in the West have shifted. We can mark the shift in relationships and gender roles by looking at the history of astrological ages. When the masculine patriarchy came to power around the world at the beginning of the age of Aries at 2160 BCE, relationships were set up to allow men the right to play the field, while women were bound to the marriage in loyal support of their men. Rape became an integral part of mythology and conquest. Warrior heroes like Hercules often stealing and raping women. Interpretation of gender roles and relationship that still affect us today. Aries is a masculine sign that rules independence. In the age of Pisces, 0 BCE to 2160, relationship became a Pisces-like prison for women and perhaps men as well. Women became the enemy, satanic slaves of sensuality in the new religious paradigm of virginity and chastity. Women who refused marriage were either persecuted as witches or were forced into monasteries. We are now closing fast on the age of Aquarius, and everything is changing. The new relationship paradigm, in line with Aquarius qualities, will be one of open equality. Both men and women will remain open to Aquarius friendships with members of the opposite sex, even as they remain married to their primary love. The traditional reasons for relationship are already dissolving, leaving something far more revolutionary in its wake. In this process, relationships have become quite messy, destructive, and confusing. With this new Aquarius perspective, same-sex relationships and marriages have as much archetypal validity as do heterosexual relationships. The archetypal interplay of masculine and feminine energies, as they express themselves within a single human body, are emerging in revolutionary new ways of intimate interaction between two people in relationships that promise new ways of looking at ourselves and our universe.
Can you what the fuck did I just listen to?
And it goes even further. They have a special page in there, we-equality.com/science.html. The evidence of science. This is particularly crazy. Science today disavows any connection with astrology, astrology being Quakery that does not even deserve notice. This said, there are more intriguing insights and evidence that astrology might have some profound connection with how our universe is structured or built. This adds support for our discussion of gender roles and relationships, the dodecahedral universe. The French astronomer Jean-Pierre Luminet of the Paris Observatory, leading an international group of astronomers, published findings in 2003 in the journal Nature, saying that our universe might be finite in size, perhaps only 30 billion light years across. More importantly for astrology, it has 12 sides to it, each side being a slightly curved pentagon in shape, creating a universe that looks like a soccer ball. The cosmic microwave background radiation is not smooth across the entire sky. The universe reveals small but noticeable spikes at various places in the sky. The measured spikes are the results of folds that are part of geometric shape, one side bending in towards another side. As it turns out, the mathematical formula for a 12-sided universe accounts for these spikes perfectly. The image we have is that these sides are slightly curved, creating a universe that might look like a soccer ball with its 12 patches. Really? The number of sides, 12, is highly significant. These 12 sides could very easily correlate to the 12 houses and 12 signs in the zodiac. These sides might also correlate to the 12 astrological constellations around the heavens. Adding this finding to the accuracy of astrological ages gives us a potential astrological framework for our universe that acts at the level of physics. If astrological ages are accurate descriptors of time, then a 12-sided universe indicates a spatial universe that has some type of connection to astrological laws and mathematics. Astrological ages are based on the flow of time. Ages gives us an astrological connection with the dimension of time. A dodecahedral universe could easily give us an astrological connection with the spatial dimensions. I can't read that any further.
So basically because some fringe group of physicists believe that the universe is shaped like a dodecahedron, and the number 12 is also significant for astronomy, therefore astronomy is correct. Is that seriously the argument?
Yes. Essentially, yes. Okay, we'll laugh in the music break and then we'll come back to laugh a bit more. For the music break, we're going to listen to a song from an artist that contacted us and provided the song to us. The name of the artist, the band is called Bipolar Love. The name of the artist is Nathaniel Postma. We're going to listen to a song from the album Life Isn't What It Seems. The name of the song is Poison. So Bipolar Love, Poison.
Where did he pull that article off, this astrology nonsense?
Like a spider cream, living in a dark cold world.
Okay.
Spinning my web, I catch you way too deep.
Are you guys getting any background noise from me? I think my microphone.
Poison if you want me to be in this film of ecstasy. I'm yourself to guide you when you can't see. I'm your deadly lust. Can you trust me? Fall of sin, you know what you want me to do. Let me do what you want me to. I'll take you down, down. We can go to hell or straight to town. If you want me to be in this film of ecstasy, I'm yourself to guide you when you can't see. I'm your deadly lust. Can you trust me? poison if you want me to be in this film of ecstasy. I'm your silk to guide you when you can't see. I'm your deadly lust, can you trust me? I'm your dirty drug addicted, you can't let go. Hide yourself, lying on the rug, let you live or let you die of love so slow. I'm your poison if you want me to be in this film of ecstasy. I'm your silk to guide you when you can't see. I'm your deadly lust, can you trust me? Can you trust me? I'm your poison, can you trust me? I'm your silk, can you trust me? I'm your ecstasy, I'm your poison, yeah. I'm your poison, yeah. I'm your poison, yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're back. We've listened to Bipolar Love Poison by Nathaniel Postma. I hope you enjoyed the song. During the music break, I was watching the chat room, and I saw a very good line from Knight Errant in the chat room saying that all these changes, it's because the moon was in Uranus. Which pretty much sums up. I mean, right.
I need you guys to be serious for a moment, because I think I've made a very important discovery when reading this article. I think I have found a way to prove that God exists, that the Christian God exists. As you know, the Christian God is a trinity, three people united in one, and I have two brothers, meaning my parents had 3 children, so both are 3, so therefore God exists. I used to be an atheist, but now I'm convinced. I mean, Thomas Aquinas has got nothing on me.
Seems legit. Well, here's more explanation about this feminist astrology. I'm gonna try not to. A major new theory in physics is the superstring theory. This is a theory that says that our universe is built up from extremely tiny strings, either linear or circular, and can only exist in a universe within a minimum of 10 dimensions. There has to be a minimum of 9 spatial dimensions at the 10th dimension of time. Because we cannot see 6 of these 9-dimensional spatial dimensions, logic dictates that these 6 have somehow broken off from our universe, leaving us with the 4-dimensional universe that we see before us. Strings remain in contact with all 9 spatial dimensions, but our universe only reveals 3 spatial dimensions. The other 6 are theorized to exist at the smallest of points throughout our universe, curled into extra-dimensional tubular membranes. While scientists insist that the lost 6 dimensions have broken from our universe, astrology gives us a very elegant picture of the universe with all dimensions intact and full size, and we live and move through them every single day. Indeed, an astrological multi-dimensional universe supports a spiritual view of reality as well as a scientific view. Astrology also accounts for the fact that we only see 3 spatial dimensions in a very unique way. The mathematics of string theory say that strings cannot exist in less than 10 dimensions. 9 dimensions are spatial, the 10th dimension is time. There is a powerful 1-to-1 correlation between strings and astrology in these numbers. The 10th house in astrology rules time. The 10th dimension is time. Expanding this correlation, the first 9 houses in astrology should correlate to the 9 spatial dimensions of string theory. Oh dear God. can you imagine that people actually believe this shit?
Yeah, you know how you prove astrology? You make a prediction, and then this prediction turns out true. And you do that repeatedly, and then you've proved astronomy to be accurate. Since you haven't done that, it's not. End of discussion. I mean, you don't need to look at some sort of numerical similarities between some sort of obscure scientific theory. But I mean, I guess the people who already believe in astrology might also be the only people who are vulnerable to these sorts of pseudo arguments.
Yeah, but on the other hand, reading this crap and reading the ecofeminism and reading some other smaller crazies that I chose not to include in this show due to the constraints of time, I really lean towards agreeing with Iron John in this one. It's essentially a co-opting effort. I mean, yet another fringe of society, those who actually believe in all this numerology, astrology, claptrap, being co-opted into the feminist ideology because potato. The same seems to be true with the feminist veganism, whatever, and I mean, they all seem to somehow be slowly but surely co-opted somehow under the brand of feminism. I really do think that the ideologues who set these things up actually believe this in the sense that, okay, let's co-opt this little sector as well. Because I'm thinking this because going back to the article on ecofeminism on Concept, here it is. The application of ecofeminism to animal rights has established vegetarian ecofeminism, which asserts that omitting the oppression of animals from feminist and ecofeminist analysis is inconsistent with the activist and philosophical foundations of both feminism and ecofeminism. Vegetarian ecofeminism combines sympathy with the analysis of culture and politics to refine a system of ethics and action. If you can make sense of this, please be my guest. I can't. Reading all this crap is I'm getting into the I don't even.
Well, I think I might be able to take a stab at it. not literally, of course, feminist auditors.
You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. The whole thing with the pseudoscience, the astrology, what they're attempting to do here, in my opinion, is they're trying to claim some sort of legitimacy, that this act, this age they're talking about is inevitable. This was something that was always going to happen. So all the actions the feminists have taken up until this point is entirely justified because it was going to happen anyway. And here's the proof. Astrology.
It's always the case with the many totalitarian worldviews that at one point or another they promote this myth of inevitability. The same thing we hear with the ideologues of the European Union. Oh, but it is inevitable. No, it's not. I mean,
see, the thing with inevitability is it's not only a factual justification; it's also a moral one. They can say because it's inevitable, it's right, it's good.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that all these these messianic sects have always done, and what Hegel has done, and Marx, and so on. And if you want to claim that there's some sort of inexorable law of history moving from one stage to another, then you ought to be able to accurately predict the future. If you can do that, make an accurate prediction that is somehow special. I mean, you're not going to get any points for predicting that it's going to rain next year, but make some sort of prediction that is unusual. And if you are correct and you're consistently correct, then people will believe you. If you can't do that, then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember that in early 20th century, Marxism was not considered an ideology, which is correctly considered now. No, it was considered science. And it was that, the Great War will come and the working classes will banish the oppressive bourgeoisie and whatnot. And then the Great War come.
Socialism, yeah.
Yeah, and the Great War come, and nobody wanted to have anything to do with that. And then the Second Great War come, and it took tanks for the revolutions to happen, and it still didn't happen globally. And now we are 100 years later. The revolution still doesn't happen globally. So yeah. But again, what John says is essentially provides a post-factum justification. You know, here's the proof that it was inevitable and things of that nature.
Yes, precisely because they're tying it to historical events, or at least what they assert to be historical events, such as the historical oppression of women.
Yeah, and not only that's not a historical event, but that the age of Aquarius and Aries, and that doesn't even exist. You're assuming that those things exist. They don't.
Yes, because if they don't exist, Lucian, think about it. If they don't exist, the feminists then believe that they can't be disputed because there's nothing there to dispute.
Right.
Genius.
Genius.
That's how the feminist mind works. You see how that works?
Yeah, but to be fair to feminists, I don't believe that most feminists believe in this sort of nonsense. I mean that's even within feminism, that is a fringe group that is as crazy as that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know, again, I'm not sure that this bullcrap with feminist astrology was meant for the feminists in the first place. It was meant for the believers in astrology in general to attract them more to the feminist sector.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
I'm not sure it was meant for the feminists to begin with. I don't know. Maybe it was meant for the feminists, but it would make sense to create such an ideology, feminist astrology, to attract people from the non-feminist sector of the society towards feminism, especially the people who already believe in astrology and the age of Aries and all that claptrap. Mm-hmm. Anyway, two other nice things. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't want to make a disparaging remark about segments of the population, but you would have to guess that people who follow and take something like astrology to heart are very open-minded. This could be an advertising campaign to people who would probably be swayed by something like feminism, as implausible as it sounds.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, we're approaching the time limit. Thank you for calling, John. Two things nice from the chat room. 3rd of October says, makes me wonder, does feminism quantum theory exist? We'll have to look that up and make another episode of Feminist Pseudoscience. And also, feminist veganism is actually a thing. To them, raising hens for eggs and cows for milk is female oppression. Dear God. Okay, and with those being said, does Dean have a show tomorrow, James?
I think he does. I think it's going to be another Tales from the Infrared.
Tales from the Infrared, okay. That would be at noon Central Time, which is 6 p.m. Britain time, 7 p.m. Germany time, and 8 p.m. Helsinki time. That's 1 hour before this show, so 23 hours from now, or something like that. No, 21, whatever. So make sure you tune in tomorrow to Tales from the Infrared at 6 p.m. Britain time. And with that being said, take the red pill.
This has been a production of A Voice for Man. Lucian Wilson and his guests, thank you for listening to the Voice of Europe. A Voice for Men radio is not corporate media and everything runs on donations. So please consider visiting avoiceformen.com and make a donation. We would also like to thank the artists: De Prima Terra, Mbezna, Cristian Buica, the Iranian band Arsames, the DDG Project, and all the other artists that offered us their songs to use under Creative Commons license. Special thanks go to www.pacdv.com/sounds for putting the sounds of the jingles at our disposal. We would also want to remind the listeners to take the red pill. Thank you for listening to us and have a great evening. Ați ascultat Vocea Europei.